done across a period of time. You know very well, an audit is a process. I mean, why didn't you make the information available at the point of an audit, at any particular point, during the whole time frame when the audit was being conducted? Why was it difficult for you? Honorable Amnyima?
Yes, Chair, and just as the right, you see, when an audit starts, there's an interim management letter written to the controlling officer. It's a whole process. You know, in all these stages, the documentation, you as, through your PS, you as Director of Finance, why, through this period, it's a period of over 3 months, and the things are not being made available during audit? What was the reason? And that is why when people who think that this documentation is tampered with, you think that people are being malicious. So we need correct answers to say what was really happening over a period of months. This is, we're waiting for this one to sign, but this is within Northern Province. Sure, it's within Northern Province. It's not that people are coming from Shangombo to come and sign. It's within the province. Why didn't you avail these things during audit?
Director of Finance through the PS.
You have to understand the fact that we are dealing with people that are complicated. Even things that are straightforward, at times they want to complicate them. Like I submitted, the acquittals were supposed to be signed at the time of delivery, but some of the beneficiaries were not available at that time. The time we wanted to collect them, these people are not available.
Honorable members, we are not getting anywhere. This committee has labored enough on this matter, and I think we have a position on this matter. So in the interest of progress, let's proceed to paragraph 53 now. Let's proceed. We are not getting anywhere. I think we should have a position on this matter. Maybe Honorable Mai, one very last issue.
Yeah, Chair, going by your guidance, because the answers seem to be conflicting, because the queries on the agricultural inputs, and then in the responses, we have got 3 responses now. We have the issue of rainfall pattern, then we have beneficiaries being very vulnerable, and then also we have got expired drugs. I thought maybe in the interest of progress, maybe in future, Auditor General can still relook at this matter since they are together in the Northern Province.
We have a position on this matter.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, we can proceed now to misapplication of funds under paragraph 53, and we can also handle them concurrent with irregular use of limited bidding procurement method. Honorable members, questions? Honorable Mai?
Yeah, Chair, I think we are back on the same issue on A. Director Finance has not explained why 1 point something million was not spent. And on B, Chair, I just want to get a quick clarification on misapplication. I want to understand why was this matter not resolved at the time of audit? Because the province is saying that the money was coming from a contractor. Yeah, so, and yet Honorable Amnyima stated it clearly that there's a period of audit, and now they are saying the issue of statements and other things. So what I want to understand, why was this matter not resolved at audit? And also, why didn't they attempt to tell this committee the reason why the close to 1.6 million was not spent in the Northern Province?
Please take up that question.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think allow me again to refer it to the Director of Finance.
Director of Finance, of course, through the PS.
Thank you very much, Chair. when you look at, if you look at the table above, maybe I can give you the background to this one. We got about 16 million kwacha to be used for the completion of the projects that are stored in the province. And the year we got this money, we didn't finish this money. And so we carried forward this 11.8 million. And before we could use this money, we had to apply for authority to use this money through the Secretary to the Treasury. Okay, so this was approved, and the query that is coming from Auditor General is that we misapplied part of this money to complete the completion, I mean, to construct Menje STEM boarding school, completion of Unsumbu border post, and the 2 staff houses. But I want to submit before this committee that the money was not misapplied. Earlier on, we had engaged another contractor in the name of Jonko General Contractors. Jonko General Contractors were given the task of constructing the post office in Insama and some houses. They had their own financial, which is Minister of Housing and Infrastructure. But because this money had been obtained and these things needed to be completed, since work had stalled, it was felt that they should be paid, the contractor should be paid for IPC number 6 and 7, so that they continue, they finish the works. And the letter stated to the contractor that in the event that the Minister of Housing and Infrastructure pays for these 2 certificates, they should refund the money. And this is the money which was refunded. In the first sentence of the response of the controlling officer, there is a statement which says it was an oversight on the part of management not to request for retention. So the money that was refunded, we regret that we did not request Secretary to the Treasury to authorize the use of that money on these other activities. Otherwise, the money was not misapplied, and the projects which have been cited here as being affected were not affected. The funds were there.
Honorable members, follow-up questions. Honorable Mkosa, then Honorable Lumai in that order.
Chair, I want to, first of all, maybe get a position from the Office of the Auditor General, because what the Finance Director is saying is that this is not a correct position. It's like he's saying there was no misapplication, and they identified that there was a misapplication. Then number 2, there is an issue of retention where you are saying that it was an oversight on the part of management not to request for retention. What is this that you paid for where you didn't get a retention? Because I haven't seen anything preceding this. Thank you,
take
Chair.
up that question. Oh, Honorable Mai, first of all. Honorable Mai.
Chair, it's just like when you are born from the same mother, you always be thinking the same. So partly Honorable Mkosa has tackled my question, and also, Chair, the query here is very straightforward, Director Finance. The 451 was meant for Menje STEM boarding school and Nsumbu. Okay? Now, you are contradicting yourself now, because you are inviting a lot of questions, Chair. Because, Chair, he's saying that actually the money which the contractor paid back was from Ministry of Housing and Infrastructure. So how did it find itself in the provincial coffers for them to use it when it was for a different budget line altogether? And the reason more, I said, what was difficult to resolve this matter at audit level? Because if they had these answers they're giving the committee today, the same answer should have been given to auditors so that the matter is resolved. Because we don't enjoy seeing witnesses here. Ours is, actually we'll be very happy if one year we wake up only have 5 queries, we'll be very happy. So I want him to be very clear on this issue.
Thank you. Before PS can tackle these 2 questions, AG, can you come in?
Thank you, Chair. Maybe I should mention that on the refund, we had actually queried it. It was refunded in 2020, and it formed the part of the 11.8. And because we queried the refund because we said, how do you pay? It looked like the province had a lot of money. They paid to an organization when they were not supposed to pay, because they mentioned that it was under a different ministry. So and in fact we didn't even get the correct amount which was refunded. That was our initial query, but we decided not to bring that. And also I should mention that the misappropriation initially was more than this, but because of the interaction with them and also saying this, we came up with that. We removed everything which was done before that that thing. Yes. And also I should mention that we have the ledger of the payments where we have the 3.7 there. Yes. So this one I've submitted to the committee. I don't agree with the Director of Finance on that one, Chair. Thank you.
Before PS could tackle this question, the 2 questions, Honorable Mfala, you can come in.
Chair, thank you for the opportunity to say something. I just wanted to follow up on the response from the Director of Finance. He says they had to do Sumbu. Yeah, Sumbu. Then they had to do Menje and what. Now, my question to the Director of Finance, you were using the monies that were not meant for these projects, and you wanted a refund, or you had to refund, or you wanted a refund from infrastructure. You were varying these funds based on what? You started varying the funds that were meant for other projects, so that you start now paying for whatever you wanted to pay and finish. You varied the funds to some extent. What were you basing your variations on? On these funds?
PS, you can, Honorable Mumba, you have something to say? Okay. PS, you can take up all those questions now. There are about 4 questions now. Yeah. I'm sure you are clear. Honorable Mai is there. He said the first question on A, you should also tackle it. PS, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I think I will refer it to Director of Finance. Let me just maybe deal with the misappropriation of funds.
Just keep it.
I give the background of how it was reached at. Chair, on 17th November 2020, my office originated a letter to Director of Jonko Contractor and General Dealers. You allow me, Chair, I can read this. Payment of certificate number 6 and 7 for the construction of a district office, 2 Nambai coast houses, and external works in Insama District, Northern Province. Refer to the above subject matter. I wish to inform you that we have decided to pay your company the outstanding amount of certificate number 6 and 7, which should have been paid by Lusaka Ministry of Housing and Infrastructure Development, and the total amount 1,112,177 kwacha 16 ngwe. This decision has been necessitated by the fact that we want you to expeditiously mobilize yourself and get on site in the soonest possible time. I also wish to state that should the Ministry of Housing and Infrastructure Development go ahead with the processing of your payment, you'll be required to pay back exactly the same amount which you will be paid. What am I saying?
Who wrote the letter?
The Permanent Secretary, Northern Province.
In 2020.
In 2020, 17th November.
Yes.
So this is an issue that started from my office to the officers. I will come to that. Let me first read the next letter, which was now coming from junk contractors and general dealers. Permanent Secretary, this was written on the 8th December 2020 to the Permanent Secretary, Kasama Northern Province. Refund of money. As per your letter dated 17th, which is this one, 11/2022, I wish to state that the Minister of Housing and Infrastructure has paid us, and we have made the bank transaction of transferring money back to your account, the same amount which came to our account. Attached are the copies of transaction. Yours faithfully, Joseph Nkonde, Director of Jonko. What am I saying?
Yes, there's a point of order. Honorable Mfalari, what's the point of order?
Chair, I think we have limited time. The question or the query is a misapplication of funds, which has been proved by the two letters actually, that there was a misapplication of funds, and that's why I asked the Director of Finance, who gave you permission to start varying funds and paying people that were not supposed to pay? Which regulation were you using to start paying people, someone in a company somewhere seated who is supposed to be paid by Minister of Infrastructure? You yourself as province, you start paying. Who gave you that permission?
PS, can you take up that question?
Yes, please. Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, all officers report to the Permanent Secretary. And the decision or the directive that comes from Permanent Secretary, in most cases, are adhered to by the officers. So this letter, which originated from my office, Chair, is the letter that was given to the officers to process the payment. And I've just mentioned, sir, that these are issues of legacy, where regulations sometimes were flouted. We did that, I must admit. And this is one example that I must admit to you that we flouted.
Thank you very much, PS. Then in the interest of...
In the interest of time, we will move.
Yeah, order, Honorable Mfalari.
But my question still stands, Chair. You know, when the Permanent Secretary writes those letters, the person in charge of finance is the director,
and the internal
who is actually in the internal auditor, who is actually supposed to guide the Permanent Secretary to say these are punishable. You are moving this direction, I'm done.
Okay, Honorable PS, through you, PS, of course, to the Director of Finance. This committee is laboring. They would want to know who actually directed you, or maybe you did it out of ignorance or what. We want to know, because you know the guidelines very well. That's why in the beginning I told you that we know that you are a seasoned auditor and you know the rules and guidelines. I mean, what motivated you to proceed with this manner of managing public finances? When you knew the Public Finance Management Act number 1 of 2018, you know it very well. What motivated you to proceed in that direction? Director of Finance, of course, through the PS. Can you respond to that question? I think we need closure to this matter.
Chair, with your indulgence, allow me express my regret from my office that we instructed the officer to do an irregularity. There was no prescribed guidelines that were followed. The officer was acting upon the letter that originated from my office.
Okay. Thank you very much, PS. We have, I think as a committee, we have got a position on that matter. In the interest of progress now, we go to irregular use of limited bidding procurement method. Honorable members, let's move to that. Let's record progress. Irregular use of limited bidding procurement method. Questions on this matter? Honorable Wamnyima? No, Honorable Mfalari. Honorable Mfalari, order. Order is order, Honorable Mfalari. You have to come back, please. Maybe call Honorable Mali or Mumba to come back. Call them. Can't I join home? Maybe as he's called. Honorable Mima, let's proceed. It's just outside, don't worry. Okay. Honorable members, I just adjourn business for less than 5 minutes. We'll proceed. We can take some water and
you sing, you shout, you cheer, you scream, you laugh, and you cry. You do it all for the love of Bola. Catch the action, the drama, and much more of Bola Yapa Z on the home of local football. And get the best coverage, best commentary, and best analysis of local football. Watch it all as the top football teams in Zambia battle it out for top honors from only 165 kwacha per month. Bola Yapa Z on DSTV. Nianu.
Zambia. Even saying the word is a multi-sensory experience. It somehow captures something of the essence of this special place in the warm heart of southern Africa. Take in the mighty Zambezi River, the majestic Victoria Falls that form Zambia's natural southern border, and the national parks overflowing with wildlife. Immerse yourself in the fast-growing towns and cities, teeming with history, light, and life. Then visit the vast lakes that seem to touch the stars and engage with a plethora of different ethnic groups, cultures, and languages. Together, they make up the intricately woven fabric of this remarkable country. To visit Zambia is to begin a love affair that will never be exhausted, and unlike any that you have ever experienced before. For all the superlatives that man has used in his attempts to describe Victoria Falls, none are able to do this incredible natural wonder justice. You have to see it for yourself. It is a truly awe-inspiring experience. Livingston, once Zambia's capital, and the Zambian side of the falls have become a mecca for discerning adventure tourists. Peer into the abyss from Devil's Pool at the edge of the falls. Career down the powerful rapids from Batoka Gorge in a whitewater raft. Bungee jump from the historic Victoria Falls Bridge. Or fly over the falls on a flight of angels. Whatever activity you choose, you'll be left with a renewed appreciation for the sheer might of nature. Kafue National Park is amongst the biggest in Africa and is home to more than 130 species of mammal and more than 400 bird species. Enjoy the wildlife from a different perspective on a boat cruise or a canoeing or walking safari. For sheer density of game, South Luangwa National Park is second to none. It certainly lives up to its nickname as the Valley of the Leopard. The stunning Liuwa Plains play host to the world's second-largest wildebeest migration and boast some of the most striking vistas you will see anywhere in Africa. At Kasanka National Park, you can view the largest mammal migration in the world when each November, literally millions of fruit bats cover the skyline as the sun sets.
Yeah. Yes, I'm putting the questions together. Okay. Yes, I'm trying to say is that our witnesses should not know that that's what we're trying to do because the people viewing might not take us to very serious. Oh, I get the point. It should just be like it's a normal thing. Okay, thank you. Welcome back, PS and your team. We had progressed to irregular use of limited bidding procurement methods, and I just started inviting honorable members to ask questions. Honorable members, let's proceed in that direction. Honorable members, let's proceed with the questions.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Honorable members, can we ask questions on the irregular use of limited bidding procurement methods? It's on page 11 and 12. Honorable Wamunyema.
Thank you very much, Chair. I will ask 3 questions so that we just have an understanding. Controlling officer, on page 11, you have stated, going into page 12, that this procurement method of limited bidding was anchored on the request from a client on a letter dated 13th November 2020, because the client needed to commit the funds. Controlling officer, the Procurement Act of 2020 does not allow this. Therefore, my first question is that why was this allowed, that a client would request for such a justification on commitment of funds as a reason, and you're saying that's a reason for using limited bidding? And considering it's a legacy issue, how do you stop this from happening again in the future? Because obviously the same actors were influenced and influenced again. So what will you put in place to ensure that we do not have this justification of limited bidding?
Yes, take up that question.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, if you look at the last part of our answer, okay, I think you are referring to the request. I get the question. The request will not happen now because all the procurement in the province are referred to the procurement committee to deal with it, to which the PS chairs that procurement committee. It is a committee which is diverse, with members even picked from the community. So I want to assure this committee that such an occurrence will not happen under our watch.
PS, the question was, why did you allow a limited bidding process as compared to a competitive one, when in fact the Act is very clear? It guides you when you are supposed to get into limited bidding. Say, why did you proceed in that direction? That's what the committee wants to know, not what you intend to do going forward.
Chair, that was part of the last question from the member of the committee. However, coming to your question, these are some of the issues that we did irregularly. And I want to say that when this request was made, if you read paragraph 2, it was a race against time before the financial year ends on 31st December 2020. So it was a double-edged sword. We want to achieve the results. Also, you know, we want to use a method that will enable us reach to achieving these results. So as a result, we opted to using this method.
It's a wrong method. I want you to expressly state that you opted to use an inappropriate method. That's what we want to hear. That's what the committee wants to hear. You're just saying this method. Which method?
The inappropriate method.
Honorable members, I think in the interest of are there follow-up questions? Maybe Honorable Mkosa, Honorable Mfarari, in that order.
Chair, I've understood that. Not on that one. I want to ask a question on page 12 to 13 regarding completion of Mbala Youth Skills Center. Controlling officer, I would like to find out, has this facility been commissioned? Or if it hasn't been commissioned, when is it getting commissioned?
Honorable members, I think you can even ask questions on the completion of Kapisha. They are similar, this question. Kapisha, Farmers Training Center, then there's the Nsumbu border post. All of them borders on delayed completion of projects. I think we can tackle all those questions on these facilities that were delayed. Honorable members, any more questions? I think maybe controlling officer. Just like as a rider on Honorable Mkosa's question, I think you can also respond on the issues to do with the delays on the Kapisha Farmers Training Center in Luwingu and also on Nsumbu border post and the 2 staff houses in Sama district. Yes, take up those questions. I think we need to move that action.
Thank you very much, Chair. The Mbala Youth Skills Center is complete. And we are in the defect liability period where we need to check if it has got cracks and so on and so forth and what have you. Then it can be commissioned. It hasn't been commissioned yet. It was our intention that we should commission this Mbala Youth Center before the end of the year. But as things are unfolding, I think it will be commissioned first quarter of next year. Coming to Kapisha.
And on Kapisha, controlling officer, you cited snags to be a cause of delay. How can snags be a cause of delay? From my understanding, snags are those minimal corrections that or maybe that touch where you need just to perfect 1 or 2 small things here and there.
Correct.
And how can snags be a root cause of, how can it justify a delay in a project? And maybe before you can respond, also Honorable Mukumbi can come in. We want to know how you can attribute to snags, a delay of a project to snags. It's ridiculous. We are laboring as a committee to understand in that vein. How can snags, out of all things, cause a delay? Because snags is like substantial. You have finished the project, and now you are just polishing it up. You cannot attribute to a delay of a project to be completed to snags. Honorable Mukumbi.
I also wanted to find out or know what measures have been put in place in terms of putting power into the property. Because it's like it's one of the gray areas where without power, our farmers will not be trained from there. So at what point are we going to see electricity connected to the premises?
Yes, take up the questions.
Thank you very much, Chair. In our response, Chair, the snags are just a small component in this bigger response. The biggest delay is on electricity. You and me are aware that ZESCO is not giving out quotations or installing new connections. I just saw something last week that they are proposing that maybe after cabinet sits, in the course of next year, they'll be able to start connecting after implementing the new tariffs. So it has been a big challenge to open that. Connected to that, you'd find that I think in the BOQ, we had provided that the connection will be done at 75,000 kwacha. But due to time, and what we are seeing now, it may even go beyond 350,000 kwacha. So this is the biggest delay that we caused the center not to open. But otherwise, like you have said, Chair, you are right. It is completed.
Honorable Mfalari.
Thank you, Chair. We have heard that Northern Province could do anything that they wanted to be done, and it was carried because it came from the controlling officer. So much as we can continue asking, they were doing those things. Page 19, questionable payment of insurance. You are saying you paid 23,814 to Goldman for a vehicle that never came or for a vehicle that you didn't have. Director of Finance, how did you pay 23,814 for a vehicle that you didn't have? In your submission, you are referring us to Appendix X, that is Appendix 13. Appendix 13, I've been there, Chair. Appendix 13, I've been there. Is it Appendix 13? Yes. Appendix 13. Appendix 13. There is a purchase order there. There is a purchase order for the same 23,000. Then there is a request to pay insurance cover for the Deputy Permanent Secretary new vehicle, and the quotation for insurance, and then you have now my question is, how were you paying insurance for the vehicle that you didn't see? And you went ahead and paid.
Yes, take up that question.
23,000. And in your attachment, there is nowhere where it's showing that.
Honorable, we followed the PS.
No, I was just checking this. I want them to answer before they answer, actually, before you give them. Can they show me, they are saying they, after paying 23,000 to Goldman Insurance, they had to change and paid for the vehicles provided. There is no cover note to that effect to show the vehicles that you are claiming were paid for under this 23,000. You are claiming that BAT 632ZM, GRZ 352CJ, GRZ 2, where in your appendix you are supposed to show the blue books for these vehicles. You are supposed to show the insurance cover that you obtained out of this 23,000. All those things are not here. And that's why, Chair, I was getting you to go to the appendix so that you are able to see what has been attached there. There's nothing.
Yes, take up that question.
Thank you very much, Chair. I regret that those details were not appended to this document as mentioned. However, this is one story that does not add up so well, I must say, and I must admit.
Yes, yes.
Reason is
you can
simple.
See, just to interrupt you, you can see you are transferring insurance of a particular vehicle to some other vehicles. After an afterthought, you realize that there is a mistake here. Now you start transferring insurance of a certain vehicle, the invisible vehicle, to other vehicles. Now you are trying to remedy. In fact, you are reacting now to an audit query.
Correct.
And this committee is not interested in such.
Chair, if you read the story, there was a vehicle that was paid for to the tune of 450,000 kwacha, bought by the ministry, which never saw its day in Northern Province. It was our money. So eventually the money was, we queried, and they reimbursed the money to us. Now, this insurance came about when we were told that the vehicle had been bought. It is true, we erred. How do we insure a vehicle which has no chassis number, a vehicle which has no engine number, a vehicle which has no registration? But I admit we did that. So, when we realized that this was a mistake, we came back and said, colleagues, this is wrong. And Chair, you permit me that when you realize a wrong, an audit query, I think it is only prudent that you remedy it. When we are remedying it is by saying, can we have back our money? The money was paid back to us, and we bought a Nissan Navara, which is now in our inventory. And the money that was purported to have been spent on insurance was now distributed to the 3 vehicles. And we have a receipt after talking to Goldman's Insurance. We have a receipt which was submitted to us. If it is not in there, we can submit to the chair, where they were acknowledging receipt of this same money and the vehicles that are insured outlined on top of it.
Okay, maybe can you pass the document over? In the same vein, Honorable Mnyima, a follow-up question? Yes, your mic.
Chair, I think as we are going towards finalizing, there's one issue I'd have loved a response on. This issue of Chirubi district. At the time of audit, the payment vouchers could not be found, as they were misplaced by non-accounting officers. However, the payment vouchers and other financial records were found in the wrong filing cabinet 2 weeks after the audit had ended. So, controlling officer, this is for you. What have you done to such officers who failed to avail accounting records as stipulated in Section 73 of the Public Finance Act? If someone fails to provide and they come 2 weeks, no, these we put them in a wrong cabinet. What disciplinary action has been taken? And because these vouchers are being submitted to Parliament, not to auditors. And here we don't audit. So, controlling officer, your success is based on your support staff. But if your support staff are not taking audit seriously and coming before this house to give us vouchers that should have gone to audit, it's unacceptable. So I want to know what disciplinary action has been taken on these staff who are submitting vouchers that should have been submitted to others, submitting them to the Public Accounts Committee today.
Yes, take up that question.
Thank you very much, Chair. Allow me to push it to the Director of Finance.
Director of Finance, take up the question.
Thank you, Chairperson. I want to give a bit of background.
No, not background, just respond. Just be precise. All the honorable members.
Okay.
Be precise.
Thank you. Like we explained in the response, the vouchers were found and were brought to provincial administration in Kasam, which vouchers were availed to the auditors, and the auditors said that no, when we were on the ground, these vouchers were not there. And I was told that the district administrative officer had confirmed that they did not have the payment vouchers. Now, the one who was giving them that information is a non-accounting office. We have an accountant who is attached to District Education Board Secretary's office, who helps out in preparing the financial statement, the payment vouchers and the cash book. At the time they were auditing, the officer was not there. So later we were given these payment vouchers.
The Director of Finance, AG here is just whispering to me that everyone was there. AG, coming?
Yes, we are.
Mike.
We are auditing Minister of Education at the same time that we are auditing the DC's office. And he was there and he even signed. Now, Doctor, I think we may not have it here, but he acknowledged that they were not there.
Director of Finance. Director of Finance, don't mislead this committee. PS, I guided you at the beginning of this session that the immunity that we have conferred upon you should not be abused. So long as you have to be as much as factual as possible. We cannot be labeling, the committee cannot be labeling on whether this person was there, but the fact that you failed to respond to the audit appropriately or adequately at the time of an audit, I mean, sounds much, it testifies much to say that you, in fact, it's the whole reason why you are before us today. Otherwise, if you were able to resolve this matter at the point of the audit, we couldn't have been with you here. So it's pointless to say the things were submitted before AG, this was not done. What we're here for is to get appropriate responses. Don't mislead this committee. PS, can you proceed with proper answers to the questions? Maybe before you proceed, Honorable Mfarele, maybe you have got a comment.
Director of Finance, why are you deciding to mislead the committee? Because the Auditor General has people who are available at the time of the audit query, and they sign to confirm that this is not available. Now you come and you start telling this committee that actually there was a non-accounting officer who was there, but he's the main supervisor. And we have now just been told that actually even that same district official was there. Why are you trying to mislead the committee by saying the officer who is an accounting person was not actually there? Why should you start doing such things? Yes, let the PS answer now.
Maybe AG can just, honorable members, I think we have got a position on some of these matters, like this matter.
Yes.
Maybe honorable member.
Sorry, honorable member. Okay. I should mention I was personally there in Chiluvi. We audited education, and we have even on the documentations to that. And the accountant was there, and he mentioned that he also handles the office of the district commission. And I should say, when the audit report came out, I personally got a call from the one who was the DC to say, no, I had the payments I can still bring to your office. That was after the audit report has already come out. And I actually told the Director of Finance that don't write the vouchers which are not there. Because if somebody brings the payment voucher without the supporting, I refused to audit that. I can't audit that. Because somebody can sit the whole night to write the payment voucher.
Thank you, AG. Honorable Mnyima.
Chair, the reason why I asked this question, controlling officer, is that we cannot have a casual approach to audit. And the Director of Finance, in his attempt to mislead the committee, when the auditors are there, why, even as we take position, Chair, why should we have officers not providing information? And you failed to take discipline against those officers. You're coming here with a casual approach. You can't have such casual approach, say, no, this and that. If a voucher wasn't there, it reappears suddenly, it's written all over in the night. We must have a sense of responsibility, Director of Finance. Those people must be disciplined. I submit.
PS, take up the question.
Thank you very much, Chair. It is regrettable, and I'll make a follow-up on this one, and those who are involved will be met with the law.
Thank you very much. PS, let me take this opportunity to thank you for having come to appear before this committee. It's not our desire to be seeing you to appear before this committee. We would want you to have zero audit next year. I know you are new in this position. However, you have got a lot to do. Housekeeping matters. You have got a lot to do. There's a lot of work before you. We have seen from the committee point of view that there's a lot of laxity. People don't take things serious. They don't take audit serious. And we wouldn't want you to fall in the same lane of people who are disregarding the public finance management rules that governs appropriation or the spending of resources in various government entities. So I wish you all the best. And we don't want to see you next year appearing before this committee. Put your house in order. Having said that, let me take this opportunity now to lift the immunity that are conferred before you, and you are free to go.
Headphone music.
I'm in love with the big trick.
Is your time better than us?
Yes, at least walikuwa internet.
Can you rhyme better than us?
Kasukete after
Can you raise
tournament.
the bar like we did?
Oh, mlema na kwa
Here's the
stepsi.
shovel, now can you dig?
Uwata mtu standareti.
Young rappers acting like they've been there and descended though. 2 minutes of fame and they done reached the pinnacle. I seen days darker than the skin tones in Senegal. Best you can do is take a minute and you'll learn it those. Cause I said you got a brighter future. Don't mistake it with Mr. Butcher. Legendary like Kalusha. Eritaya, Tusha. International producer. Little man to meet your pusher. I am that dude that move the flag heavier than Respucia.
Don't you think mwema wajiba mdimwadiba fa emotional? You take things personal patunti fetuno. No marifido kuwambela chapa mo mukonkana femu mana. So we picked up, we follow from what fundela zeno mo. You inspired us, you talked us, I'm a beef na my metaphors. You became ambassadors, the reason to arena boards. We are the products, I'm a nimba mwane pangale senga. Wa kuromu fulefe wachitofo wa sanga.
But you said my nimbo need my punchline. Then you get to the punchline. That's how I got the money. But if you want to change your mind, if you want to sign him, I want to aini. What's the fine? You boy a message that you want to whine. To stand the line like a shaft to try to undermine.
Okay, take for example, ndefo kubaticha tadi mfide fena kuskulu ine fyonse fena puisa amwelele kumutanto ndefo kuya top tadi mfide namba pansha for mwala na pali procedure.
Would you rather #1 with no money?
Yeah,
Dumb it down, they want you to keep your flow funny. Oh, back that knowledge level up to Hove's money. You're not sure, I guess you need to learn from me.
Oh yes, please. Njebeni kwechidenga bambi bale kula, bambi bale chula, ma big artist mashiwa chinch, chilenga fama shows bambi ale dula, bambi bale senda feli yonse baba pera.
Benda banange na mugemu boom without the big plan, so akatenga kreti as a payment, it's a good sign. So long the big money is a buyer, aba mwesamo my yes boss. 10 shows, 1 weekend, little money, less loss. 1 show, 1 weekend, more money. Get every artist needs investors and some bankers for the money, but they don't see importance cause of the hand-to-mouth runnings. So plan for yours better, chile. Hope the black chinja zako kazi gwila chile.
I feel the pressure, writing down for kwati muna mugemu ninko kwesha when I try to measure impact to kwetapa. Katakti mwade organize the fintunga tafya shupa, that's why. Na forever lesa na ifota mila kuluisa. Atime #1 song ateche better nafa. We keep fighting each other mentally munshta kuyafa. Eventually my beef no muchinshi once wapa vis-a-vis le kulumba like nankana you are greater. Kabapa internet futi basangu kaheta.
Some haters become rappers, get in the booth and think they're better than you. Never understand cripples, I think they move better than you. They got vendettas, it'll post some hits or get umbrellas. Chill, check your fellas, you will find a lot are not the realest. The closest, take you closest to the grave instead of building. They will stop you in the moment for the cake instead of shielding.
Kuma first I used to think like Busele buffet good life. Don't the pass spotlight, tell her not money to inside. To fight suck with a big bite, hunger for more appetite. The more you get, the more hands. Kuna station ni pocket them fuck over content.
To be content, kuma change depending on the pocket.
Is it a master artist who cover educated?
Education is sometimes it's kind of overrated. Let me paint the picture. I'm hoping that I'm moving with you. Imagine working all your life to set the fire direction. Even your own parents, when you choose talent, they ain't proud to meet you. Bakamba rap on the satanics, hope that God will meet you.
Nalisambili lokutila, abantu balatutina. Ebaba wino sana kutila balabachitapi and kwati baliba wino sana batinga wapala mania tete bachita volunteer unless nabakwata mosea so bali love na fear. Kuna sala pone chisa. Ndio muntu watina nangulionse ndechenza pakuti bante mwenishi mande pangira pweshina nangunda chitafona temwa no chitakea kubarefulwa.
Kalomba toti na sugar pali neba ukamusunge wino Kalomba toti na sugar pali neba ndiye tunawana kamba ndiye maua na tambara